Hello. So, I'm going to try something different and see if this works. It was suggested by somebody and I was planning to do it anyway, honest. So here we go. I am going to be playing Call of Cthulhu, but we will be using two tools. So it'll be more freeform. The other Call of Cthulhu's I've been doing are the Alone series of books, which are basically choose your own adventures, which are great, no problem, but they're not really freeform. They're not the normal things that I do. So we will be using the Solo Investigator's Handbook, and I'll link to it. So I got this from Drive-Thru, and I'll be linking to it. Plus, we will, instead of using the yes/no answers within this, we will use Mythic's fate chart. We'll roll using Mythic's fate chart. So we won't be using Mythic so much as a GM emulator, as just answering the yes/nos, and we'll be using the themes and the processes from within the Investigator's Handbook, the Solo Investigator's Handbook, to guide the rest of our journey and see how the adventure works. Now, I've never ran Cthulhu, even as a keeper. I've played Cthulhu, but I haven't ran Cthulhu as a keeper. So this is very much bit nervy apprehension, and let's see. So I've read H.P. Lovecraft, quite a few of the stories, not all of the back catalogue. I've read not all. I've looked at the books. I've read modules. I understand the mythos, but let's see how this goes. So to start off with, I have created an investigator, Alex Wood, who is a mixed occupation author doctor, which is one of the suggestions that Paul has, which is Paul Bimler, who wrote the Solo Investigator's Handbook. One of the things that Paul suggests is that you can either have two investigators, or you can have a boosted solo investigator, which is a variant that he suggests. So I took a boosted solo investigator. Rather than going through all the statistics for Alex Wood, our character, I'll either put, so I've just taken a photo with the old phone. I'll either put that up and then you can pause it and have a look at it, or I will try and link to, there's the PDFs that you can use. I'll try and find a way of getting you access to that so you can see rather than we go through it. And so what Paul suggests is that we start off with by generating our scenario. So this is a standard solo approach where the story will unfold as we go, and we will guide the story using themes and yes/no questions. And we work in an iterative loop of writing a journal. So we have journal entries, such as if we were doing an investigation and we were going to keep a diary or a journal as we were going. This is how we will approach this game, and each diary journal entry will have a time associated to it. But we will begin with our setup, which is we create our investigator, we know the yes/nos, we create a scenario. So first off, we have to create the scenario that we will actually be investigating. So we have to generate a scenario. We have some initial ideas. He also goes through in this book some other resources that we may want to refer to generate scenario ideas. We can actually use pre-published scenarios to generate ideas, or there's various different online resources that he refers us to that we can utilize. But we are going to use the table that is within this book, which is the beginning of chapter 2. If you want to grab the book, it's on page 10 and it's quite good. So what we need to do is we have, which is 7th edition Cthulhu, and all versions of Cthulhu really relied upon. I can't remember what the name of the system is, but it's the percentile system. So we use greens, we will roll percentile, and we'll generate our scenario. 26. So 26 has us, while traveling from A to B, your transport crashes and you are stranded in the wilderness. You discover a strange structure. Okay, well that initially makes me think of, it's not the Mountains of Madness. The one where the aeroplane sees the structure, they're exploring the Antarctic and they see with the cone things. So we have, while traveling, I mean, this may not work, and we may play through a couple of games together and see if we generate a good story or one that will keep going. So, excuse me, I'll write this down. So we've discovered this strange structure, and whilst I was writing this down, I always forget to say this bit, because it's a bit weird, but thank you very much for joining. We're 5 minutes in. Thank you for staying for the full 5 minutes. Not everyone does, according to the graph that I get from YouTube. But thank you very much. If you are liking what you are seeing so far and you like the end of this, please hit that old thumb like. If you haven't subscribed and you've considered subscribing, why not go ahead? Then you can get to see when I'm releasing other things. I will be releasing things such as The Walking Dead at some point. If you have any comments or you want to make any suggestions on how I'm running this, if you have been a keeper for Cthulhu and you can give me any hints and tips, please do so. I will attempt to, maybe I'll see if I can attempt to put some music, because music is often scene setting underneath this, so it's not just my voice, though elegant it may be. And thank you very much. Anyway, we shall continue. So, while travelling from A to B, our transport has crashed and we are stranded in the wilds, and we have discovered a strange structure. How do we receive the quest? So why are we trapped? So maybe we'll interpret this as, why did we travel from A to B? 68 says, a rich benefactor requesting your help in return for payment. So, all right. So Alex Wood, being a doctor, is a psychologist. Was he a psychologist? I think so. Or was he a doctor of literature? I think he may have been a doctor of literature based on this, or he's writing a book. Oh no, he's got biology and pharmacy and psychology and psychoanalysis. So he is an alienist, as I believe it was referred to in the 1920s. So possibly somebody is paying for Alex to go and help someone somewhere, and we have become stranded in the wilds. Okay, so we've got other things to decide on. Okay, let's see. All right, well, if we're stranded somewhere, there is a location table here. So let's see what we get if we do on our location table. 08. 08 is a city. I don't know if this works. I am inclined to want to generate something new, but okay, how about this? How about we'll give this a go. So we're going to say that we're traveling from A to B by plane. We have been requested to go and help a rich benefactor who we don't know who it is. Their goddaughter. So they live in this area, somewhere around this area. So what I might do, the location table is a percentile table. It has jungle, mountain, sea, forest, desert, polar region, swamp, farmland, rural, excluded zone. So let's roll again and we'll ignore city and excluded zone. 90 is farmland, rural. Okay, so we have crashed. Rural doesn't sound, rural is not really wilderness, so we'll exclude that as well. We've got jungle, mountain, sea, forest, desert, polar, swamp. 11, jungle. All right, jungle works. So we are, South America. Okay, so we have been employed by a rich benefactor, and we were just told to go to the airport to get on the small plane, the small biplane, let's call this we'll call it the 1920s. We're going to make, so we are not going to be factually, historically correct about anything. We're just going to make stuff up in a general noir 1920s type feel. So please don't pull me up if I get anything wrong, because I'm not trying to get it right. So we've been asked to go and help a benefactor. We're not too sure who. It was just a message. We work at the hospital and we got a job offered to us, and maybe we're short on money. Maybe we have a debt. Let's give ourselves a debt. Let's give ourselves the old faithful gambling debt. So in our, this says I had rolled in my 40s. So I have got into bad ways and owe some mafia money, a gambling debt, and I was offered this very well-paying gig to fly to South America to go and help this rich benefactor, and we have crashed in the middle of the jungle. So we have crashed in the jungle. The pilot is dead. The pilot is dead. And we are we injured? So let's say, are we injured? So apparently, so what we'll do is we'll track, so there's a mythos, so we'll track our CM, we'll call it, and our CM is 0. Now on the fate chart, we normally would start on 5, so the fate chart has a chaos factor. So I don't know if you know about the Mythic fate chart, but you can Google it and you can find out. But vaguely, it's a percentile chart that I won't put up because it's the core meat of the whole system, which has a chaos factor running on the bottom line from 1 to 9. 1 being an extremely chaotic state, 9 being the opposite of an extremely chaotic state, and we normally begin at 5 in between. Now, I originally was thinking we would start at 9 and then track our way down as the chaos builds up within our story, but what we might do is start at 7. So we'll start with the chaos because we've just crashed a plane, which is fairly chaotic. The chaos being at 7, and then we ask certain questions, and then we'll find out a percentile chance. And we normally ask questions of the fate chart, the Mythic fate chart, with the intention of action. So the example that I can see that I remember from the book is we would ask not is it quiet outside. We would ask, are there zombies outside? Because a yes gives us action. So is it quiet outside? A yes gives us not really much action and not really much story. Are there zombies outside? Yes gives us action. And the chart leans towards yeses of affirmation to move a story forwards. So we would then ask, did we get injured in the crash? So a yes would mean that we have something to overcome and adds a complication. Now, a plane crashing in the jungle, I would say it's quite likely that we'd have got injured, and on a 7 would mean that we have an 85% chance of an injury. So greens, 80. So the fate chart for Mythic, you can have an exceptional yes, which is I think that's 5% of chances small. So for this one, it would be an exceptional yes. So what would we said? An exceptional yes would have been 17%, 0 to 17%. 0 to 85% is a yes, above 85% is a no, and 98% and above is an exceptional no. So that's a yes, we were injured. So if we're injured in the crash, let's see, how could we see if we were injured? Is there a oh, I know. We will use a theme chart. So we were going to roll. So we will roll a d10. So this is how the verbs table will work. We roll a d10 to get our hundreds. So 3 means that we're 100 to 199. So that would be 139. So 139. Decline doesn't really help us. Hundreds again. Decline 146. Defeat doesn't really help us, and the last one 0, which is in the 400s. 460. Terrifying. Decline terrifying. So that doesn't help us say how we were. Decline oh, hold on. Decline terrifying. I know what we use that for. Okay. So we're going to write our journal entry post that we have survived this. So the aeroplane has crashed. It's crashed into the side of a ravine. The pilot is dead. We are stuck in the back and we have an injury. So we are injured, but we don't know how serious the injury is at the moment. So our aeroplane is in the jungle canopy in a ravine, and it's creaking as it's creaking and swinging in the trees on this ravine. And we can see from the plane, we're strapped in, we're in a weird angle, which is why we had the, whatever the one was, it wasn't decline, 146, wasn't it? Defeat. Well, defeat is, so we had defeat, decline, terrifying. So we are terrified. So we are terrified. So we will say, where's our chaos thing? I think we need to do a sand check at certain times based on certain things. Here we go. So this is a mythos points table. Unsettling, scary, terrifying, petrifying. So mythos points 5. We would get, so the mythos points is going to go to 5 mythos points, which means that we need to make a sanity check, which our sanity is 50, so greens. 08, so it succeeds, so we take 2 san. Okay, so we're taking 2 as we're terrified in the back of this aeroplane as it's creaking and swinging in the jungle canopy. We will now have to, and we can see off in the distance, looks like there's some kind of settlement we can see in amongst the jungle canopy. So we're going to need to get out of the back of this aeroplane and try and climb along the wing to safety into the trees and then go down the trees. Now, is there anything useful in here that we can grab, like a backpack with a machete? Maybe there'd be a machete in here. So first off, we'll ask, is there anything useful in here? And then we can ask a series of yes/no questions, like is there a machete or is there some water, some rope? So first, is there anything useful in here? I'm going to say that's a 50-50. We're still on a chaos factor of 7, so because we're still in the aeroplane, so that gives us 75% chance that there's something useful in here. No, foul. So there's nothing useful in here at all. Okay, so there's nothing useful in here. So we are just going to attempt to get out of the aeroplane. So we will climb to the front. So the front window is completely shattered. Part of our terrified nature is that a tree branch has just skewered through the neck of our pilot, and he's drained of blood and just looking gory and horrific. So we will, as we're climbing, we have to climb over the body. Now we are a doctor, so I'm going to give us plus 10% to sanity, which would mean that we're now on 58 because we would have seen bodies before. To clamber over the body, as we're actually going to have to physically push our hands and feel the wet, damp heat of the body and the air expelling from his vocal cords and making a wheezing noise as we have to push against his chest to push through the front windscreen and climb to the front of the airplane and attempt to get across and onto some branches to get out of this canopy. So we will say that would be, what would that be? That would be unsettling. So if we make the roll, so there's no sanity loss for that, but our mythos goes up to 6. So maybe we'll say that for every 10 mythos, we will drop the chaos factor down by 1. So we'll drop from 7 to 6 once we've gone past 10 mythos points. So we've pushed our chest onto Jose, and we heard a wheezing whoosh, and then blood gushed out of his mouth and down his chin as we're pushing past him to get through the windscreen and then over the top and out. Now we would need some form of athletics, wouldn't we? So we have climbing, of course we've got no points in. What else do we have that we could utilise? Medicine, we can see how he died. Alright, I guess it's climbing. We can try utilising climbing. Stealth, I might be able to con stealth out of it because we need to move carefully so as not to disturb the plane and make the plane move. And then we could jump across, but I didn't put any points in any of these. I wasn't expecting this. So climb is base 20%. Greens. Okay, 31. So we're slipping about. Oh, there's pushing it, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not going to push it because 20% we're not going to get that. I could try and burn some luck. I have 55 points of luck. I can push that, but I can spend 11 points of luck that will push that to 20. Alright, and then we can get out. So that puts us to 44 luck, which is not good, which means that I don't think this is going to last very long. I don't think Alex Wood is going to last very long. So Alex is now on the front of the bonnet of the aeroplane. Is it called a bonnet? And he's reaching out and trying to grab hold of a vine to wrap around his arm and just get himself to safety so he's not on the plane as it's creaking and swaying underneath him, as he's desperately trying to grab hold of this vine and the plane is creaking, and utilising just sheer luck, he was able to get hold of a vine and hold himself there in position. Let's say the plane doesn't go just yet, and Alex is going to attempt to get across onto, moving. So this is what will give us stealth. So stealth will say he's moving carefully and delicately. So if you're going to move stealthily or do something stealthily, then you're trying not to get noticed. So Alex is attempting not to rock the boat. He's attempting not to get the plane to move very much. So he's going to roll stealth to attempt to get from the plane across as it's creaking and swaying underneath him and feeling very, very trepidatious. Greens. 37 is success. So Alex just is feeling his body begin to slip because of the blood that has soaked onto him from his own wound and also from the pilot's. And he slips, but without making too much noise. But as he slips, there's a creak. The plane slips back a foot, leaving Alex dangling from the vine, grabbing on with both hands, trying to secure himself to be able to get into the tree canopy and get down to the ground. And there's a crack and the plane just drops away from underneath Alex, leaving him hanging in midair. And he will have to make a strength check to move across and actually get to the thing, as there's a massive tumbling, crashing, splitting sound as he can hear the plane falling down this ravine, and it doesn't seem, he keeps hearing it crashing, rolling, tumbling, crashing, rolling, tumbling, as though this ravine is so deep. Greens. 35, that's under half of strength. So as it's under half of strength, we'll say Alex is able to swing himself on and grab hold of the tree trunk, and shall we do a climbing roll again? Or giving me, let's do a climbing roll to see if he can get down, and we'll say it's strength. Strength means that he will take a d6 damage getting to the ground. A climbing roll is success. So if he can get under 20%, he's okay. No. So he takes d6 damage. He takes 6 points of damage. Oh my lord, he only had 11. So he is on 7. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't add up. He is on. So what's 11 minus? It's not 6. 6 and 6 is 12. So it is 7. 1. 2, no, it's 5. Oh my god, I did go to school. So he's on the vines and he's managed to get down, but he's scraped, his clothes are torn, and he's down on the bottom. So this is where we will start the journal, and Alex will have said what's going on. So first off, let's set our first journal time slot. So create a new timestamp entry for your journal and roll on the story direction table. Right, so we're going to say it's morning, so it's 7:30 a.m. on, ignore 8s, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What do we got in the examples at the back of this book? Is there a date in the 1920s? June the 2nd. June the 2nd. So, Thursday, June the 2nd. So we've got a timestamp. Then roll on the story direction table. Okay, story direction table. Add mythos points to the roll. So we have 6 mythos points. We are rolling percentile plus 6. Greens. 47 makes 53. 53 is discovery. So we have made a discovery in the jungle. 72. You run into someone, possibly a relative of someone who fell victim to this mystery. This has reached further than you previously thought. Okay. So we know that there is. We could either do this now or we could. No, okay. We will do this now. So we have, as we reach the ground, There are some, oh my, it is the 1920s. We see, here we go. So this is, so, okay, we run into someone, possibly a relative of someone. No. So we run into someone. So what we have done is we see in the forest, we see in the jungle movement, and it's, we assume it's people, and they're heading off towards where we saw those structures over in the distance. Oh, okay, I've already got a storyline that's starting to form in my head. Okay, all right. So there's movement. Where did I read that? Oh, it doesn't matter. So there's movement in the jungle moving over towards where we saw some structures over in the distance. We don't know how far because we were hot and we've just climbed down a tree. But we've seen this sort of rustling and some movement going. So let's do a spot. What have we got? There's spot hidden, isn't there? We have 65 in spot hidden. Let's see if we can see. And then we've got track, but we have no points in track. So we might get lost in the jungle. Or maybe whoever this is going to leave a very easy trial for us to follow to get us to go into the city, this structure. 76. So we don't spot who it is or what it is. We can't see. All right, we can't see who it is. There's different sort of, okay, but we're not going to be able to use charm, intelligence, persuasion, psychology, or fast talk on this person. So discovery, and we rolled what, 76. So this would be sort of the entry. June 2nd, 7:30 a.m. The plane crashed. The canopy enveloped us. Jose died instantly. I tried to save his life, but there was little that could be done. In the process of exiting the plane and getting to safety, sadly the plane and Jose's body were lost into the ravine. I saw some movement in the jungle, possibly a native, possibly somebody else who had been lost here. They seemed to be moving towards the strange structures in the distance, and so I decided the only choice I had, with no food, no equipment, and no way of calling for help, was to follow them and see where those structures were and what this would lead into. So we're going to move towards, so that would be our first entry. I think that's right. Every time we do that, using Curio Roasted, return to step 1. So another time entry. So at some point, at some undetermined time, something else is going to happen. So let's say we're going to go through the jungle and our chaos is still going to stay at 7. So our next entry, our chaos will be 7 again, and our mythos is still at 6. So let's see how long will we be traveling for? So we might get lost. So, okay, so I think it's highly likely that we are going to get lost. So it's very likely we're going to get lost. We've still got a 7, so we have a 90% chance that we are going to get lost in the jungle, which means it's going to take. We're going to be lost for hours. We're going to be getting hungry and dehydrated. So what's this? Very likely, 90% chance. So yes. So we are lost. So being lost in the jungle, we'll say we've been wandering for 6 hours. So that makes it, what's that make it? That makes it 1:30 p.m. So we are lost in the jungle. So let's roll on our story direction table. So let's give us some, so if we're lost, if we're saying that we've got lost, getting lost in a jungle, I would say, is scary. So we're going to add the mythos is going to go to 8, and we are going to do a sand check, or we will lose, if we succeed we lose 1, if we fail we lose a d4, so we've got 48. We fail, so we lose a d4. Where's that d4? 4 points of sanity is lost. So we have been wandering around and we're getting scared as we wander around in circles in this jungle, trying to find where we're going, who these people were, and follow their trail. We're going around and around and we're lost. So let us roll on our story direction table. So we've now got a mythos of 8. So now we're at 80. 80 is danger. That is perfect. So danger. Something untoward happens to the investigator. Perhaps they are stalked by a shady character in a trench coat. Perhaps assaulted by some unknown thug, or perhaps they feel nearby presence of something unworldly. Roll on the table below to find out exactly what the danger is, or use the verb list method. Roll on the danger table. Step 2, move to the verbs table to make 2 to 4 rolls, as many as you wish, to generate additional details to the nature of the threat. Right, what is our threat? Green. 73. Placement pathway search. What were they looking for? No, so it doesn't work. We're in the middle of the jungle. 24. You feel a threatening presence. It is tangible. A spirit or something malevolent. Malevolent? Yeah. Nearby. The verbs table can have... Okay. Threatening presence. So, we're in the jungle. We have been moving closer and closer to where these strange noises in the jungle, so the movements in the jungle are, and we have started to feel a strange presence around us, just surrounding us. So let's see if we've got to make this quicker. We have this green 10 is going to be the hundreds range, and then we've got percentage as well. So 3 is 116, so that's 116. 116. We have consecrate. Okay. Can you think of it? So we've got the word consecrate. So we've got this weird presence in the jungle. So 7 is, so we've got 398. 398 recount. Okay. Let's do another one. Okay, so we've got consecrate recount. So a consecrated area is recounting a story. So what was that? 7 is again, so that's 326. Love. Okay. Okay. So we're moving through the jungle, and we have come across. There's a pathway. So basically, they have led us to a path which is starting to lead somewhere and become. It's all overgrown jungle vines, but this path has been here a while. We don't know how long. We could make an we've got 50% anthropology. We're going to make an anthropology check to see if we can try and tell. Anthropology is more societal, so we're going to make an anthropology check. No. Okay, so we don't know anything about this path, but the pathway is going to lead us towards, it's going to lead towards a clearing to the side, a small path to the side, and there is flickering light in dark, maybe it's like a wooden hut, and we can see light from flickering inside, so we will stick our head in to have a look and see. And inside this wooden hut with candles, there is, we'd be thirsty because we've been wandering for 6 hours, so I'm going to say that there's some wine or something in there, and that might be drugged. There's some candles, and we can see that in here is it's a consecrated area. There is some altar, or it's a shrine or something to a god. Now let's see if we know what god it's to. We will make an occult roll, and I think we've got a reasonably good occult. 60% occult, so greens. No, 98. 98. That's massively no. It's to we know it's to a god, but we aren't too sure what the god is, and it definitely is a bit weird. But we're at this shrine. Definitely to some form of god. There's lots of vines, lots of fruits. There's some wine, all given. So we can tell there is some kind of sacrifice, but we don't know what this is for or what it's all about. Now, do we think? Let's make. His education's not great actually. We're going to make 65% education. No, 97. So he is going to. So Alex is going to, being thirsty, is going to take a drink of some of the wine, and see to try and quench his thirst of wandering around in the jungle, which is really humid, so he'd be dehydrated for 6 hours. Okay, this is a prime way, because we've been going like around half an hour, and I didn't want to go more than half an hour, so I've got a nice way of ending this. If Alex passes a constitution check, and he's got 40% constitution, then he is going to be groggily aware of being dragged off somewhere, which will be into the city, the ancient Aztec city, which is there. If he fails, then he will just awaken next episode in the middle of this stone Aztec city. Okay, so failing, so Alex falls asleep. Alex falls unconscious and will awaken in Aztec city. So who is the god? 1:30 p.m. June the 2nd. It seems like I've been wandering in the jungle for hours, for days maybe. I don't know if I'm getting closer or further away, but I stumbled upon a road, and that road seemed to be leading towards the city that the strange people in the jungle were heading towards, possibly where they were leading me there. When I voyaged down that road part way, I noticed there was some form of structure or building, just small, made of wood. Candlelight flickered from the doorway, and so I leant my head in. Beyond belief, there were foods and wines and liquids, and I gorged myself on them, possibly too much. For later I awoken, in a city. I do not know how I was transported here. I seem to be okay. My injuries have been bound. I have recovered health. Let's give him back the 4 hit points. Try again. 4. So he's got 4 hit points back, putting him on 9. I seem to have recovered health, but still, I do not know where I am. I am laying down in a clearing, in the middle of a structured area. I can hear nothing. All the buildings are covered in vines. There seems to be cracks upon everything. I hear nothing but the sounds of the jungle around me. Why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going to be able to get help? And who brought me here? The temple, the shrine was to a god, but which god? Whose god? Is it a god? We'll find out next time, where we'll continue playing Call of Cthulhu, where Alex Wood will hopefully discover more about the people that took him to the Aztec city. Thank you for joining me. I will see you then. Goodbye.